Welcome everyone as we learn the Chok for Parshas Mishpotim, Yom Shishi, day 6, Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach. And we start with Mesechtes Parah, Perek Ches. Remember we said that the Meichatas, the water of lustration, which is the water which we mix in the ash of the parah aduma, it needs to be guarded, and if it's guarded by somebody that's tamei, since he's tamei, he's not going to guard it with the proper amount of seriousness, it's no good. So let's say Shnayim Shoyu Shomrim Es HaShoykes. Let's say Ruvain and Chaim were guarding the trough, which we're going to mix the ash in. Nitma echad mehem, if Ruvain becomes tamei, kshem, the water is still good because Chaim is not tamei, and it's enough to have one guard. Mipnei shem b'rishus shel sheni, because Chaim is responsible for it. Toher, if Ruvain becomes tar, v'nitma sheni, and then Chaim becomes tamei, still kshem, because now Ruvain is tar, and he's going to watch it. Mipnei shem b'rishus shel rishon. Nitnu shneim ka'achas, but if both Ruvain and Chaim become tamei, then psulin, then the water is disqualified. Now remember, we also said that while guarding it, he can't be doing something else, because if he's doing something else, he's distracted and he's not going to bother guard it properly. So also echad me'am malacha, if Ruvain and Chaim are guarding it, and Ruvain starts to take a phone call, ksherin, it's okay, because Chaim is still washing it. Amad, if Reuven gets off the phone, and now Chaim starts texting, because Reuven now is alert and guarding it. Also, if they both start texting, then psulin, then the water is disqualified. Hamakadesh meichatis, one who is sanctifying the water of lustration, the water with the ash of the parah aduma, lo yinol es hasandal. This is a very big stringency. He shouldn't be wearing a shoe. Why? She'im noflu mashkin al hasandal, because if liquid that's tamei falls on the shoe, it's metame the shoe. Nitma, it contaminates the shoe. V'tim'uhu, and then it in turn contaminates him. This is a special decree that liquid ought to a gezerah of the mashkin of a zav, the saliva of a zav, the urine of a zav is an avatuma, and is therefore metame kelim. So therefore, they made a gzeira that all liquid is metame kelim. So he shouldn't wear a shoe, because in the event that liquid that's tummy would get on the shoe, it would be metame the shoe, and the shoe would in turn be metame him. Nitma v'timu. Now here we find an unusual thing. If the liquid fell on the body of the person, it wouldn't be metame him, because liquid is not metame a person, unless it's his yadayim. But if it was fell on the person, it wouldn't be metame him. And therefore, says, well, we find an irony. He speaks as if to the shoe, mitamecha, that which was metame you, loy timuni, would not be metame me. The liquid that is metame you, shoe, is not metame me. But v'ato timei sani, but you shoe that received the tumah from the liquid would be metame me. Now the Mishnah clarifies, naflu mashkin al b'sarai, if the liquid would fall on his flesh, that was tamei, tar, he would be tar. Naflu al ksusai, but if it falls on his clothing, it would be metame the clothing, and the clothing would be metame him. Nitmeis v'tim atu. And here again we find that irony. Harizeh omer, the clothing says, mitamecha, that which, the person says, mitamecha, that which was metame you, the liquid, loy timuni, would not be metame me. If the liquid fell on me, it wouldn't be metame me. But you who became tame from the liquid are metame me. Va'ato timei sani. Now you might ask, so what's the benefit of saying that he shouldn't wear shoes? If it falls on his clothing, it would be metame the clothing and metame him. The answer is the shoes stick out. So it falls, it gives more chance that it'll hit the shoe, or it's possible he'll step on the liquid with the shoe. Hasayrev para. Now the Gemara is going to tell us, now the Mishnah is going to tell us a lot of examples of these ironies. Hasayrev para. The paraduma was burnt. It was part of its process that the red cow was burned. So the one who burns the cow, uparim, or the one who burns the par kayin Mashiach, or the par helim davar shel tzibur, or the par of Yom Kippurim, these cows are burned. The one who burns them, and also v'meshaleach es asar, the one who sends out the he-goat ta'azazel off the cliff on Yom Kippur, the people that do this, mitame begodim, they are mitame their clothing. Again, the person that burns the paraduma, that burns the different parim that are burnt, like the par kain gadol of Yom Kippur, the par of the kain Mashiach, or the par helam davar shel tzibur, when the tzibur does an erroneous sin of chorus under the erroneous psak of Bezdin, and the one who sends the sar off the cliff to Azazel on Yom Kippur, their begodim become tamei, mitame begodim. Yet, para uparim v'sar meshtalech atzman, if the paraduma or the parim that are burnt or the sar meshtalech would touch a person's clothing, ein mitamim begodim. So it's interesting. Harizeh Omer, the person says, mitamecha, the one that's the clothing say, mitamecha, the one that's mitame you, in other words, the para, the parim, the sire, loy timuni, would not be mitame me. In other words, if the par and the para and the sire would touch the clothing directly, it wouldn't be mitame then. Yet va'ata, you who handled them and burnt them, timei sani, you are mitame me. Another example of this irony. We know that a nevela of an oif is not metame b'maga. If you touch the nevela, the carcass of a bird, it's not metame. If you swallow a kazayas of it, when it's in your esophagus, then your begotten become tame. So a oichel menivla sa'oif hatar, one who eats from a kazayas of the carcass of a kosher bird, v'hi b'beis habliyah, and it's in his esophagus, metame begodim. The person who swallows it, his clothing are tame. But on nevela atzma, but the carcass itself ain't metame begodim, cannot upon contact be metame begodim. Harizeh Omer, so therefore the begodim say, mitamecha, that which is mitame you loy timuni. If the begodim themselves would touch the clothing, if the carcass would touch the clothing, it wouldn't be mitame the clothing. Yet va'ata, you person who swallowed the carcass, timei sani, are mitame me. Again, an irony. Now, kol vlad hatumais. A vlad hatuma is anything that's not an avatuma. It's not an origin. In other words, a mace is an avatuma. A sheretz is an avatuma. A nida is an avatuma. A zav is an avatuma. Anything that comes in contact is a rishon, and something that comes into contact with a rishon is a sheni. Those are derivatives. So kol vlad hatumas, all derivatives of tuma, ain't a metame kelim, are not metame. A rishon, a sheni, cannot be metame kelim. Elamashka, but they could be metame liquids. That's the din. It's a din derabanan that they make a mashke liyos tzchila, And then that liquid can be metame kelim. Nitma mashka, if it is metame the liquid, timon, then this liquid is metame kelim, because remember, we say gzeira up to the mashka of a zav, which is an avatuma, which is metame kelim. So here again we have this irony. Harizeh Omer, the Keli says, mitamecha, that which is mitame you, the mashkin, in other words, a derivative of tama, loy timuni, cannot be mitame me. A derivative can't be mitame a keli. But you who became tame from the derivative, timei sana, you succeed in being mitame me, right? That's what we say, that a derivative, a rishon or sheni, cannot be mitame a keli. But it could be metame a mashkin, and then in turn that mashkin could be metame a keli. Now in Mishnah Vav, we learn the same idea by a klei cheres. Now the Rishonim say that the thrust of this Mishnah is that a klei cheres can never be an avatuma. Can never be, klei matris can become an avatuma, because when it comes in contact and kills somebody, we say cherev harihu kecholol, and the matris can become an avatuma. But a klei cheres can never become an avatuma. And therefore, ein klei cheres metame chaverai. One earthenware vessel can never be metame another earthenware vessel. Yet, elamashke. But the earthenware vessel will make the liquid tame, and then that liquid could be metame an earthenware vessel. If it's me'avirai. Nitma mashke, if it's metame the mashke, tam'o, it could be metame the klei cheres. Harizeh Omer, that's the klei cheres says, mitamecha, that which is metame you, the klei cheres, loy timuni, cannot be metame me, because we said one klei cheres cannot be metame another klei cheres. But you who became tame from the klei cheres, timei son, it could be metame. Now let me just remind you about terminology for the next Mishnah. When it comes to tuma, tame means that it itself is tame, and it can transmit tuma further. Pasul means it's the end of the line. It can't transmit tuma further. Now, in the laws of tuma, chulin can only become a sheni, not more. So therefore, if it's a rishon, it's tame. If it's a sheni, it's pasul. Truma can become a shlishi. So if it's a sheni, it's tame, because it can go one more. Shlishi is pasul, it can't go anymore. Kachim can become a revi. We're not going to talk about that. But by kachim, therefore, if it's a shlishi, it's tame. If it's a revi, it's pasul. Now, says the Mishnah, kala paisel es truma. That means if it's a sheni, because a sheni makes truma pasul, and it's the end of the line. So kala paisel es truma, mitame es mashkin liyos tchila. It's metame liquid to become a rishon, and therefore then by truma letame echad, it makes truma a sheni, which is tame, v'lifsal echad, and then a shlishi, which is pasul. Except the only thing that doesn't disqualify liquid to make it a tchila is chutz mitfil yom. Now a tfil yom is somebody that was tame and went to the mikveh. And the rest of the day, until nightfall, he's a tfil yom, which is a sheni. That sheni does not make mashkin a tchila, because it's a weakened tumah. They didn't make the gezerah by weakened tumah. Now, harizeh omer, in the case of a sheni, the Truma says, mitam'echa loy timuni. The Truma says to the liquid, mitamecha loy timuni. The one that was mitame you, a sheni, would not be mitame me. Because Truma, when it's contacted by a sheni, becomes a shlishi, which is pasul. But va'ata, you liquid, timei sani, because you become, when you touch a sheni, you become a rishon, and you make me a sheni. So you make me tameh. So that which was metame, you a sheni, would not have made me tameh. It would have made me a shlishi, which is puzzle. It's the end of the line. But when the sheni touches you, you become a rishon, and now when you touch me, you make me tameh, you make me a sheni. And now, the rest of the Mishnayos of this parak discuss the theme of that in order to use water for the mechatis, to make the mixture of the water and the ash, which we will use to be sprinkled on a tummy mace on the third and the seventh day, it has to be mayim chayim. It has to be water from a live source. So we're going to see what constitutes water from a live source. Water from a live source is also necessary for the tara of a zav, for a metzora, and water from a live source could also be metar even when it's zeichelin, even when it's flowing. So the Mishnah says, Mishnah Ches, kol hayamim kamikvah. All seas are like a mikvah. They're not live water. Shenemo lemikvei hamayim, a gathering of water, kariyamim, are called yamim. So we see that they're a mikvah. If they're a mikvah, they can't be used for the mechatas, they can't be used for zav, for metzora, and they can't be used for when they're zeichelim, when they're flowing. Divrei Meir, that's the opinion of Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, hayam hagadol kamikvah. Only the Mediterranean and the oceans are like a mikveh. But inland waters, like the Dead Sea, like the Kinneret, like the Caspian, those are considered a live source. Because they have a collection of many seas. Rabbi Yossi says, no, all seas can be metar, even when they're flowing, but they're not considered mayim chayim, upsulim lazavim, they're puzzled for the tara of a zav, or mitzayim for a leper, or lekadish mechatas, and to use as the water of lustration, it's not considered mayim chayim el keli. Hamayim hamukim, water that was smitten. This means water that became salty or lukewarm is not good, psulim. That's not considered mayim chayim. Elohein hamukim, what's considered damaged. Hamaluchim, if it's salted, v'apoishim, or lukewarm. Hamayim hamechazvim. Mayim mechazvim means water that gets interrupted, psulim. That means that if it can't be mayim chayim, live water, if it gets interrupted. Elohein hamayim hamechazvim, what a water that interrupted. Hamechazvim echad b'shvua, even if it stops once in 7 years. However, hamechazvin only beplumsiyos, if it stopped only because of a war, where the enemy stops up the water so that the opponent shouldn't get it, or b'shnei b'tzaron, or if it's stopped up by a drought, ksherim. Rabbi Yehuda says even then, paisel, it's not considered mayim chayim. Mei karmiyon umei fuga, the water of karmium and the water of fuga, which has a sandy, muddy consistency, psulin, because the sand in it acts as a chatzitza between the water and the keli, because it has bitzim, it has mud. Mei ayarden umei yarmach, the water of the Jordan and the water of Yarmach, psulim, because it has other sources that are not mayim chayim. Mipnei shei mei taruvas, because it has a mixed sources. The Elohein mei taruvas, echad kosher ve'echad pasel shenis arvu. If there's one source that's kosher, one source that's pasel, but rather it's rainwater, therefore it's no good. Shneim ksherim in isarv, but each one is a good source, then it's ksherim, then it's kosher. Rabbi Yehuda Paisel, Rabbi Yehuda says even if it has both from a good source, but it's not one uniform source, it's no good for mayim chayim. The Ber Achav, the water of the well of Achav, Umoras Pamias, and the cave of Pamias. The Rav says we don't know Ber Achav what it is, but the cave of Pamias, those waters are Mayim Chaim and Ksherim. Hamayim Shinnishtanu, if the water, its color is changed or its taste is changed, but it's because of its source, the rocks in it, the air quality, Vishinuya Machmas Atzman, the change is intrinsic to its source, Ksherim. Amas Hamayim Habois Merachak, if there is a canal that brings water from a distance from a live source, Ksherim. As long as you know that nobody interrupted and dammed the flow from its source. Rabbi Yehuda says you don't have to know. You could assume that if it's flowing, that there was no interruption. If a piece of clay or earth fell inside, and that makes it have a sandy consistency, yamtin lo at shetetzel. You should wait until the water clears. Divrei Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Kiva says, since this is not the normal consistency of the water, ein tzarich lahamtin, you don't have to wait. And now we learn from the Gemara in Masechtas Nida, Tan Rabbanan, Shloisha dvarim nemer b'tzipanayim. It says three things about nails. Sarfon, if a person burns them, chassid, he's pious. Kaivrim, if he buries them, flushes them down the toilet, tzaddik. Zorkon, if he throws it out, Rashi, he's considered, throws it out into the street where a pregnant woman could step on it, he's wicked. V'amekis dam umishamish mitasa, if somebody lets blood and right afterwards has marital intimacy, that's not a good thing. If a person lets blood and then has intimacy, he will have feeble children, weak children. If both the husband and the wife let blood and they had marital intimacy, they will have children with the terrible disease of Rasan, which it creates a sheretz in the brain, a creature in the brain that damages the brain. Amarav, we only say this that they didn't taste anything after the bloodletting before their marital relations. But if they tasted something, then then there's no problem. The Zohar tells us about the special time of Mincha and Shalashudis on Shabbos day. You see, Mincha in general is a time of din. It's a more dangerous time. It's a time of din. Tochazi, b'chol shita yomei deshabsa, all 6 days of Shabbos, kadmota shata detzloisa de mincha, when it comes the time of the prayer of mincha, dina takifa shalta, there is strong judgment in the world. B'chol dinin misarin, and all kinds of strict judgment is awakened. But it's different on the Shabbos. Says the Zohar, Aval b'yom the Shabbos, the Yom of the Shabbos, on the Shabbos day, kadmeta idan the tzoisa the mincha, when it comes the time of the prayer of mincha, rava de raven ishtach. It's a time of great favor in the eyes of Hashem. V'atika kadisha galya ritzayin delay. There is a bechina of ancient holiness, which is hidden from everyone. And at that time of the afternoon of Shabbos, at the time of Mincha, this ancient wisdom shows its favor. The kol dinin miskafyan, and all judgment is subdued. Umishtachach ru'usa, and there is found in the world favor, v'chadoi b'chula, and joy all around. Ubahai rotzen, and at that time of favor, is Stalk Moshe Nevi'ah Mehem the Kadisha Be'alma. That's when Moshe, the faithful prophet and holy one, was taken from the world. Begin Laminda to let everybody know the Lo Badina is Stalk. He's not being taken away because of judgment, because of punishment. V'hi shata b'rotzen datika kadisha, and at that time of the favor of the ancient holy wisdom, nafik nishmasei. That's when his soul left the world. V'stamer and became hidden. Begin kach v'lo yada ish es k'vurasei. That's why we find the anomaly that no one knows where he's buried. That's why. Why? That's ksiv. Why? Ma atika kadisha, the ancient holy wisdom, is tamira mikol tamirin. It's hidden from everybody. V'lo yadin ilan v'tatoin, and those of the upper realm or the lower realm do not know it. Ufachi, so too, hai nishmasa, the istama b'hai rotzen, the holy soul of Moshe, that became hidden at this time of favor, this galia b'shleita, the tzoysa, the mincha, the shabsa, which is revealed at the time of the davening of mincha. That's why ksiv lo yoda ishes kfurasa. Just like the Tika Kadisha is not known, Moshe Rabbeinu's burial is also not known. V'utamim mikol tamirin alma, and it's hidden amongst the most hidden things of the world. V'dina lo shaltabeh, and no judgment prevails over Moshe Rabbeinu. Zakor chulake de Moshe. Fortunate is the portion of Moshe. Now, if you remember, we said that you have to take from pesha, from sin, and convert it to shefa, to an outpouring of blessing from Hashem. And we said shefa, the pei stands for pizer, to give tzedakah, to scatter tzedakah. The ayin stands for anava, and the shin stands for Shabbos. And it starts with the shin because that's the most powerful thing. Min ashloisha shem rashi teva shefa, from the three attributes that are in the acronym of shefa, hanemorim, hachi nichbad, the most honorable one, the most chashuv one is what it starts with. The shin is raimeiz l'Shabbos. The shin hints to Shabbos. Ki Hashem Shabbos kilchasei, because one who keeps Shabbos properly, b'machshava, in his mind, not thinking about things you're not supposed to do on Shabbos, v'dibur, and speech, umaisa, and action. Such a person, afilu eved avodah zarah ke'enosh, even if he worships idolatry, like the generation of Enosh, Meichel Eloi, receives forgiveness. And it definitely helps to correct the sin of wasting seed. This righteous person is holding fast to the Shabbos. And we compare, since Shabbos is connected kol HaTorah kula, we consider it kilu kiyum kol HaTorah kula. It's as if he fulfilled the whole Torah. You have to be extremely careful not to speak weekday talk. The for sure not anger and hurtful words and lashon hara, or talking in shul. We learn that we should be careful with our speech from the Navi. It says in Yeshaya v'daber davar, that just like in Toshim b'Shabbos uglecha, you withhold from running with your feet, so also v'daber davar, you have to be careful with your words. And this makes sense from the idea of Shabbos, to rest because Hashem rested. Because what did Hashem rest from? The kavyachal hu Shabbos mediber. Hashem rested from talking. Ki b'dvar Hashem shemayim nasa. The world was created with the word of Hashem. Ba'asara mamoris nivru olam. So since Shabbos is resting because Hashem rested, what did Hashem rest from? Words. So we have to be very careful with our speech. V'achrei asher zachinu, and now that we merited, Hashem beracham of hinchilanu haShabbos, Hashem in His mercy gave us the Shabbos. We have to rest also from speech. And make sure to delight the Shabbos with what you are enjoying. Remember to eat, not just for the stomach, not just for the taste buds, but to honor the Shabbos. V'lil b'yish big day Shabbos, and to wear the special clothing, l'chabed ha-Shabbos, to honor the Shabbos. And make sure v'likbaya limud b'Shabbos, and make sure to make fixed time to learn on Shabbos. Ki lo nitein on Shabbos elo lasik b'Torah. As Yerushalmi says in Shabbos Perek Tesvav Halacha Gimel, Shabbos was given only to learn Torah. V'im ko yasa, and if a person behaves this way, watching his speech, doing things specially in honor of Shabbos, making time for learning, nimcholim avonosav, his sins are forgiven, or bechlal asher chata b'kam bris, including that which he sinned with the sin of wasting seed, v'shav v'rafalai. When he repents, it also means when he rests, v'rafalai, it will be healing to him. And finally, we learn the Rambam in Hilchos Shabbos, Yisrael she'amar l'goy la'asei sloi malacha zu b'Shabbos. If a yid tells a guy to do work for him on Shabbos, let's say to fix something, Afal pi she'avar, even though he transgressed the sin of Amir la'akim, or makin say makas madis, and we flog him with the rabbinical flogging of makas madis, mutaloi lehonis ma'asim malacha le'erev, he could benefit from that work on Motzi Shabbos after he waits the time it would take to do it after Shabbos. And the reason why we do that, the reason why we say that you should wait until the time it takes for it to be done, because of this. Because this way he won't ask a guy on Shabbos because he's not going to gain anything from it. Because if we say it's mutter immediately, lest he ask a guy to do it for him, and it'll be ready right after Shabbos. But here, if we make him wait, he's not gaining anything from asking the guy to do it on Shabbos. Since it's asr until he waits till the time it's done after Shabbos, you want to ask a guy to do it, he doesn't get anything, he doesn't profit. He's going to have to wait in the evening anyway, the amount of time it takes to do it like it was done on Shabbos. So therefore, he'll have no incentive to ask the guy to do it on Shabbos, because anyway, after Shabbos, he's not going to profit, he's going to have to wait the time it takes anyway. Now, if something is not forbidden midoraisa, and it's only also on Shabbos to do because of a rabbinical prohibition, then mutali Yisrael leimer l'goy la'asayis b'Shabbos. You could ask the guy to do this rabbinical act on Shabbos, which is called the shvus, as long as you have some reason. Either that somebody is slightly ill, or there's a very big need, or a mitzvah. So that's the heter of Amir La'akim, when it's called the Shvus. Amir La'akim is itself a Shvus, and the Isser is only an Isser Shvus. So a Shvus is permitted if it's, let's say, for a Chayil Hashem by Sakana, if it's a Tzarech Gadol Ma'aid, or if it's a mitzvah. We want to thank you for joining us and wish you a good tavach.